أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وعن البراء رضي الله عنه قال رأيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم والحسن بن علي على آتقه يقول اللهم إني أحب فأحبه متفق عليه. My dear respected brothers, elders, listeners, the hadith I have recited, it comes in the chapter of the blessed family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, which is known as Ahlul Bayt, the blessed family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The reason why I've selected the topic, as in the previous Islamic month, the last month of the Islamic calendar, which is Dhul Hijjah, the third Khalifa of the Muslims, Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu, was martyred. And we went through the chapter, exclusive qualities of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. And on the 1st of Muharram, the second Khalifa of the Muslims, Amirul Mu'mineen, Umar radiallahu anhu, as some traditions mention, he was stabbed a few days before and he had passed away on the 1st of Muharram. Now also, in the month of Muharram that we are in, the first month of the Islamic calendar, on the 10th of Muharram, a very sad and tragic episode happened where many of the family members of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam were martyred. Hazrat Hussein ibn Ali radiallahu anhu, and along many of his sons, his brothers, and some say almost 23 male members of his household were also martyred in this month on the 10th of Muharram. So as we went through the virtues of the third Khalifa, and we went through the virtues of the second Khalifa when he had passed away, now we have some ahadith related to the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hazrat Hassan radiallahu an, and his younger brother Hazrat Hussein radiallahu an. The sign of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah is that we love and follow and respect the blessed companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam along with his family members. This is the sign of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that we love the Sahabas also, and we love the blessed family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also. Now, who is included in the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? If we look in this book, the authors brought the chapter of Babu Ahlul Bayt, the family, blessed family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because we have some narrations where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned about Ali radiallahu anhu, Fatima radiallahu anha, Hazrat Hassan radiallahu anhu, Hazrat Hussein radiallahu anhu, that Allah, this is my family, my Ahlul Bayt. But when we look overall, we will find in the Quran, in Surah Al-Ahzab, para number 22, and if we look in the first ruku, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. And if we look with a just eye. Before these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about the blessed wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So they are also part of the Ahlul Bayt, the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Along with that, his grandsons also, Fatima radiallahu an, his other children, Ibrahim. Along with that, the family of Ali radiallahu and Ja'far, those that cannot accept zakat. So these are all the different views of who is included in Ahlul Bayt, the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So we have the first hadith was regarding Hazrat Hassan. Sayyidina Bara radiallahu anh said, I saw the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam while Hassan ibn Ali radiallahu anh was placed on his shoulder, and he prayed, "Oh Allah, I love him. So I pray to you, love him." Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he loved these two of his grandchildren very dearly. And we will find narrations upon narrations, the love he had for them, Hazrat Hassan radiallahu anh and Hazrat Hussein radiallahu anh especially. And they are known as the leaders of the youth in Jannah. Now if we look a brief sketch of Hazrat Hassan radiallahu anh, the son of Fatima radiallahu anha, and the son of Ali radiallahu anh, and the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who was the apple of his eye. He's the chief of the youth in Jannah in paradise. We hear this in the khutbah also. وَالْحَسَنُ وَالْحُسَيْنُ سَيِّدَا شَبَابِ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ. His kunya, his nickname was Abu Muhammad. He was born, Hazrat Hassan radiallahu anh, on 15th of Ramadan. And he had passed away 55 years after Hijrah. Other reports say 58th year of Hijrah. And he is buried in the graveyard which is in Madinatul Munawwara. Those that have been to Medina and they've been to Baqi, the graveyard, Hazrat Hassan radiallahu anh was buried there. And large number of Sahabas, hadith narrated by him, transmitted by a large number of Sahabas. And he also had a son who was called Hassan ibn Hassan and Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. After the martyrdom of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, very few would know this, because it's very commonly known about the Khalifas. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, then Umar radiallahu anhu, then Uthman radiallahu anhu, then Ali radiallahu anhu. So what happened after the Khilafah of Ali radiallahu anhu? His father, Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu, had passed away. And he was martyred. So there was 40,000 people that were in Kufa at that time. And they had pledged, and they on the hand of Hazrat Hassan radiallahu anhu, that you will be the Khalifa for the Muslims. But Hazrat Hassan radiallahu anhu, for 6 months almost, he was the Khalifa. And then he handed it over to Amir Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. And this, going back to this, for the better of the Muslims. And we will find these narrations where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had praised Hassan radiallahu anhu for taking this step, that this is my son Hassan, that between two great Muslims groups, he will protect them from war, from fighting. So Hassan radiallahu anhu, his khilafah lasted 6 months, and thereafter he handed it over to Amir Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. And thereafter, when he had taken leadership, then there was no civil war. There was peace for almost 20 years. Thereafter we have Hussein radiallahu anhu, who was martyred along with 23 male members on the 10th of Muharram. A very sad and tragic episode. He was born on 5th of Sha'ban. He was younger than Hassan radiallahu anhu. by 10 months, and some say 30 days. So we can say almost a year. Hazrat Hussein radiallahu anh, he was younger. His elder brother was Hassan. So if we even look at the names, Hassan comes first and Hussein. So that is one way to remember. Hazrat Hassan radiallahu anh was older. Hazrat Hussein radiallahu anh, he was martyred on Friday the 10th of Muharram in Karbala, which is in Iraq, by the army of Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Who had martyred him? There's a few different names that has come. And then there was of his 23 male members of his household were also martyred. Amongst were his sons, his brothers. And Hazrat Hussein radiallahu anhu, his age when he was martyred, he was 58 years old. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated, I went out with Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam sometime during a day. We were at the house of Fatima radiallahu anha. He asked, where is Luku, which means young lad? And Hazrat Fatima radiallahu anha said that Luku's here, he meant who referred to as young lad to Hazrat Hassan radiallahu anhu. He had not waited a while when he came rushing to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam embraced him. And Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed, "O Allah, I love him, so you too love him, and love whoever loves him." So as I mentioned, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we love the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we also love his family members. Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anh narrated, I saw Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the pulpit while delivering a sermon, with Hassan ibn Ali radiallahu anh at his side. He looked at the people whom he addressed, and now at his grandson with a loving glance. And he would say, this is my son who is a Sayyid. Sayyid means someone who is pious and cool. We must hope that Allah will reconcile two large groups of Muslims through him. I've explained this. What does this mean? That we have hope, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam predicted this. He mentioned this well before and it happened after. This is a sign that he was a messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said this well before. And later, many years, almost 30 years later, Hazrat Hassan radiallahu anh, where there was Amir Muawiyah radiallahu anh on one side, and he handed it over, his khilafah, to Amir Muawiyah radiallahu anh. From this hadith we also learn there are some people, na'udhu billah, such words cannot be said. They target Amir Muawiyah radiallahu anh, and they go to the extent to say, na'udhu billah, that he was not a Muslim. This hadith is evidence that he was, and it's very clear. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through Hassan radiallahu anh, between two great Muslim groups, he will reconcile between them. And Hazrat Hassan radiallahu anh was the means for this. And this was a sign to show his piety also. And it's a sign from this hadith we learn Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, through Messenger of Allah, he predicted and mentioned this well before, and this is what happened. And Hazrat Hassan radiallahu anh would say, by Allah, I cannot shelter even a drop of blood of any of the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Many of his supporters that were with him, they did not agree with him in this decision, but for the better of the Muslims, he would say the black mark is better than the fire. Meaning you can say what you want, but I will look what is better for the Muslims. And from the hadith, as I mentioned, we learn the supporters of Muawiyah radiallahu anh and Hazrat Hassan radiallahu anh, that they were Muslims. Sayyidina Abdul Rahman ibn Abi Nu'aym mentioned that someone belonging to Kufa asked Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anh about one pilgrim who has assumed ihram. Shu'bah, some narrator from Abdul Rahman, mentioned, I suppose it was this pilgrim killing a fly or a mosquito. What commanded he attacked. So Abdul Rahman said, I heard Abdullah ibn Umar say, the people of Iraq asked me about a fly, yet they have killed the son of the daughter of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam had said both of them, Hassan and Hussein, were his two flowers in the world. And we have narrations where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with his blessed lips, he would kiss Hazrat Hassan and Hazrat Hussein on their lips. So the love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had for them, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made supplication, O Allah, love those that love them. So we have heard brief biography of Hazrat Hassan, Hazrat Hussein radiallahu anhuma. What is our aqidah belief regarding them? What is our aqidah regarding Hazrat Hassan, Hazrat Hussein, and regarding how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made him unite and reconcile between two Muslim groups. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put the love of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in our hearts, and also the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.